Okay, this is the 650th episode of the Kal Kat Show, Kal Kat Movie Reviews channel, and to celebrate the 650th episode I've binge watched disc 1 so far of Stranger Things season 1. I know everyone else did this like 3 years ago when it premiered, but I finally got around to it. I've actually had season 1 and season 2 on the shelf for years. Season 1 came out in 2017, season 2 the beginning of this year. So yeah, it's been a while. Everyone else on the planet has probably seen it. I also have season 1 of Discovery to get to binge watch. And a bunch of Oscar movies to go see later. But yeah, so even though the Oscar is different this year. Yeah, this is the Duffer Brothers, not the Zucker Brothers. They're in their mid-30s, and it is a nod to Steven Spielberg and Clive Barker and Stephen King. Yeah, and in the 80s, they were, the story is set in 83, and they were born a year after that. So they're really not nostalgic for the 80s so much as a time before kind of thing. Sort of like, I was born in 1970, so I wouldn't know anything about 69, but I'd be nostalgic for 67 to 69, the Summer of Love in Woodstock. Kind of the same idea. They're doing this 80s nostalgia thing. Just so happens that I lived through that time period in the 80s, so did they get it right? That kind of thing. They get a lot of it right. They do. The 80s. Kevin Smith did a review of it years ago, and Red Letter Media did as well. They talked about how it was like the Dirty Wonder years. Yeah, Netflix, that kind of thing. Yeah, and very much a nod to it and Stand By Me and a number of other Stephen King stories, as well as a little Clive Barker thrown in there. Yeah, the only thing that's a little off is that they deliberately don't use Valley talk, because I guess it's the Midwest somewhere, but they probably would have, because they would have seen the movies from the 80s. A little bit, at least. That's the only thing, is their dialogue is too modern. Yeah, but other than that, it's fine. The sets, the designs, the phones, despite the fact that some of them had jacks, and they wouldn't have a jack back then. 83 was supposed to be when it takes place. Except for that, yeah. So there's. So far going to review disc 1 here, and then go on and make another tape of review of disc 2. Disc 1 had 4 episodes, and disc 2 has 4 more. It's done up like a video cassette. This is the Netflix series, The Stranger Things. Yeah, upside down, of course. Yeah, so this won't be much of a long review, really, because everybody's already said stuff about it. This girl has gone on to be in the Godzilla movie, a number of other things. Yeah, so, yeah, a picture on. So she is a brown after all. So anyway, no relation. There's no maybe a cousin. Anyway, so second cousin, as they said in the movie. Now, it had nothing to do with the movie actually. It does kind of vaguely look like Martha though. But yeah, Martha. But yeah. So yeah, Stranger Things. It's creepy, spooky movie. That's like a Twin Peaks for kids. Reminiscent of Goosebumps from Nickelodeon. It wasn't really that dirty. I mean, kids in the 80s had a lot filthier mouths than they do in this thing. I know we were constantly quoting from the Breakfast Club and stuff. See, in 83 and 84, I was the seventh and 8th grade. So, in the same time period that they're supposedly taking place. Also, the other kid was in It. That's right, and there was another one in the upcoming Ghostbusters movie. So there's a bunch of these Stranger Things kids and stuff. Typecast. But yeah, the acting was good. It's fine. A Netflix series that actually, yeah, things it works as a Stephen King nod, certainly. It's probably a lot like something I would have done if I was given carte blanche, and Mark's Cards and I were given carte blanche to do a horror anthology series. We probably would have done something very similar. Demons of Rockford, for instance, the Mall Massacre, for instance, or something like that. But of course we weren't. Thor Luck would come out right after there was an actual real mall massacre, and then they would never show it anywhere because they would think we were capitalizing on it, even though we weren't. No. But no, it was a horror comedy thing. So it's about this town that gets into there's a town where they do sort of the Twin Peaks thing, and this one character is immediately kidnapped into another reality by these creature. There's a faceless creature, sort of a faceless man creature, shining type, man with no face, man with no name type of thing, similar to Barker. A little bit like King too. A little bit like his a thinner. A little bit like who was that guy in the Gunslinger series, The Dark Tower? There was a guy like that. There's an evil government organization. The town is called Hawkins. So yeah. So Hawkins or Henry Hawkins. Hawkins. As in C. Young. I thought it was Hawkins. It's Hawkins, not Hendrix. Hawkins. Sadie Hawkins. It's basically an evil version of Blessed Deferred. No. But yeah, so this kid gets kidnapped into this other realm, and the children try to find him, and the mother tries to contact him with the lights in the house and stuff like that. There's a little kid, really little kid, that apparently gets contacted at one point. There's another one. There's a horny teenager girl who has a boyfriend whose friend gets taken by the creature when she's out by the pool. One of the horny teenagers upstairs boffing. I thought for sure that that killer would go after them. But because they were main characters listed in the credits, I figured no, they're not going to kill those two. They're going to just kill the one who wasn't only listed as guest star. So yeah. But yeah, like the slasher movies from the 80s, they would have done something like that. They would have been like, oh, we're going to kill the... and one or two of the songs that were used weren't out yet. The movie's supposed to take place in 83. And a couple of the songs used in some of the dramatic scenes weren't out until The Breakfast Club, which was 84, and some of the other movies, which were a little bit later. Oh well. But yeah, that's okay. Maybe they were sort of on the charts a little earlier. I don't know. But it's supposed to be the fall of 83, so it's not yet winter. And yeah, because they could still be swimming. Kind of like late spring if they were swimming in a pool. Yeah, it's kind of late spring. It wasn't California. It's supposed to be the Midwest somewhere. I don't know if these guys went to Pine Hill or some equivalent, or Andover afterward, but they act like they did. The writers. It would have been after me though, because the Duffer Brothers are quite a bit younger. They're 10 years younger than roughly 10, 15 years younger. 50, they said 84. They would be 16 years younger. Anyway, 14 years younger. I can't add that up. So, yeah, the writer, director, producers of the show given carte blanche to do a bizarre movie. The teen love scene is done low lighting, and you can't really tell. You can tell without actually. You don't see any like side move or anything. So don't worry about that. So it's not really Dirty Wonder Years because they didn't actually show anything. No, it's not that kind of movie. No, it's just creepy Wonder Years. I would say more or less. It's like horrific, spooky expansion of that. Some of the different seasons, a little bit of It, a little bit of Gunslinger, The Dark Tower, a little bit of the ghost thing in the Barker book. A lot of different things. And at one point, there's like a bunch of military guys in bunny suits, and they try to go into this weird like. It was described in the story as a giant slimy space vagina, which is attached to a wall. It's like a corridor or a wormhole to another dimension, to hell or something. And they're going to go in there, and they send the guy in the bunny suit in there on a rope. And the cliche, of course, is he gets eaten, and they pull back the rope, and there's just gore on the end of it. And, at one point they find a body in the port. It's supposed to be the kid's body, but it turns out, and you've all seen the movie by now, I'm not spoiling anything. Turns out it's actually a dummy that's been stuffed and made to look like him. Because the one guy figures that out when he goes to the morgue and he sticks a knife in it. Even though it allegedly been autopsied already. Goes in there and finds stuffing inside it. So how did the evil organization make a dummy of the kid that looked realistic enough to fool everybody? In 1983, I don't know. 1983. How did they do that? But yeah. When I take it that the chief guy's daughter is deceased, and that scene with the guy and the thing, yeah, was just a ploy to get information from the guy in the bar in the last act, halfway through the disc. Yeah, I'm basically reviewing a lot of other stuff that happened, but it's like, no doubt you've seen it. You're not going to watch this review of the Binge Watch if you haven't seen it. Yeah. I have to watch disc 2 for the next 2 days or so, and see what happens there. But there are only 2 discs in season 1, so it's fairly short, and then get on to Star Trek. Yeah, so yeah, it's cool. I liked it. It was nostalgic. I remember a lot of these 80s stories being like that. Stand By Me vibe going on there. That's fine. Cool. Huh. Well, let's see, how long is this so far? It's probably long enough. I mean, it's a binge watch of a video thing. I'm not going to go on like Stone Gremlins for 40 minutes discussing the nature of the 3 years in going series. Apparently, they have done season 3 at this point, but it's not out on DVD yet. Even though some sites claim they have it out on. It's not. It's a bootleg. It's not out yet. Not until like 2020, somewhere in the middle of 2020. So it's not out yet. Season 3, not out yet. Yeah, the cop guy was reminiscent of the guy from Picket Fences. The house looks like the house from 8 is Enough, and possibly from Home Alone, and possibly Also from, it's very similar to that house. Also the house from, it looks a little like the one from Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase as well. It's not, but it looks very similar. The old two-story New England sort of Midwestern / New England sort of house. And although I think it's actually filmed in, a lot of this is filmed in Georgia though, so it isn't, because it mentions Georgia at the end and the Georgia Peach and Monkey Massacre. I think it is it's a company for Netflix. This is a spoof of the monkey thing from the bad monkey from Stupid Monkey from Robot Chicken, which is interesting. It's a spoof within a spoof within a spoof, very meta. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about 11, Millie Bobby Brown, who is a Brown. She plays sort of a psionic character, like Carrie, basically, from Stephen King. But also like, I'd say Jean Grey more than Professor X. She's more like Jean Grey. She has psionic powers. She's a little bit like Negasonic Teenage Warhead too. She's got all this, sort of these elements of and I got her up there too, in the middle. Yeah. And she can make her mind. She can get telekinesis and mind powers and some mind reading and also some ability to move objects and make the bully pee himself and stuff. and stuff like that. Considering she jacked up the other bad guys, I think Jim Ducon would like this series. She for the kills, the bad guys. She jacks up the scientist guy, and the other scientist guy's all yeah. The other scientist guy is psychotic because he just doesn't mind that his men were just killed. And she's like, let's go back and do the experiment again. It's like, just kill so she just jacked up your guys. You don't mind. It's weird. But yeah. So she killed him. So. And Winona Ryder is the mother. Yes. Winona Ryder from the 80s. It's funny. So, yeah. There's some stars on the wall. You got the Bumblebee girl, the Millie Bobby Brown. You got Abigail Breslin, the other girl from It, a bunch of other ones. And you got a bunch of other guys on the wall from the Starcrackers and, well, now it's called Space Vanguards and Destiny's Jay and Silent Bob reboot. What did I call it? Destiny's? I think it's now called the Canary Space or a Raleigh story. And then we have the Star Wars poster. Yeah, so yeah, so there's the and there was a movie that recently had said nobody puts pendants on their wall. I do. And Captain Marvel, not Shazam. But yes, sorry. Part 2. We'll do part 2 after this. I'll put these two together after the binge watch is over and put them all together. So yeah, this is part 1. Yeah. Okay, take 2. Let's just start over. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this was a review of Stranger Things Season 2, or Season 1, which reminded me of Stephen King stories, and less like Clive Barker for the episodes 5 through 8, more like Sam Raimi, referencing other things like that. Yeah, so Sam Raimi. So yeah, it was very similar to, and I know it can't be. It's got to be a coincidence. very similar to some of my horror comedy stuff that I wrote. There is a scene where kids cough up like slug creatures and stuff, which is right out of the Demons of Rockburn. There's an evil lab, Demons of Rockburn. They're doing real experiments, and there's like a psionic kid in it, Demons of Rockburn, and Mall Massacre, and Time Winds. Time Winds is 83. Survive, same idea, 83. Although these stories were influenced heavily by Kit Romero and King, and not so much Clive Barker, very much Stephen King. But yeah, they couldn't have. I don't think it's minds thinking alike. I don't think they could possibly have looked at On Location, although strangely enough, maybe the blogs mentioning the title. Stranger Things Are Happening was the title of a 1984 On Location story. A journal. It wasn't really about horror, but it was the title of a journal. It's possible it was mentioned on the internet somewhere. And after all, it was a underground alternative radio thing from the 80s, On Location, and KTS and K10 and KTS Milpitas San Jose and all that. It's possible that somehow, vicariously through the Kal Kat shows, that somehow, it's not likely, but it's possible they heard about it. I mean, this show came out in 2016 or so. They probably just assumed, oh, this is another, thing. Yeah, they just assumed it was part of the same mythos. Sure, that's fine. But we had nothing to do with the Stranger Things at all. The ideas here are uncanny, though. You have your sort of town not believing the cop guy or the wife, but then the cop guy realizing, oh, the body's fake, and trying to get into the lab. So he sneaks into the lab in your opening episode. This is going into the story now. And the lab people, I guess, let him go after they caught him, and he wakes up in his room and he looks for bugs around and in his house, trashes his house. The girl who had the boyfriend, who slept with the boyfriend, she goes, the camera guy's camera gets crushed, and she befriends him because he has a picture of the monster, which took the redheaded Molly Ringwald looking girl. And 11 and the boys go out and explore with their compasses, looking for the source of the gate to the hell realm, or whatever, the space, the alien vagina in space that's on the wall, which will eventually lead them back to the lab. Of course, it's not foreshadowing, because at the end of episode 4, they revealed the lab had the room that looked like a big, like, hentai tentacle thing, vagina in space. Well, not like it would be a hideously diseased one if it was one, but it's a gate, yes, which is Clive Barker, like, more so than King, although similar to the scene in the Dark Tower, the books, not the movie. The movie had a gate too, Dark Tower series. But in that one, it was more science fiction. It shouldn't have been. It should have been more ethereal. The idea of an ethereal gate story, The Hole in the Crawl short story in On Location, and the Mako and the Dark City, Mark's Cards, one, same time period, all 1988 or so. So it's, they have the same idea, the Time Winds stories. Essentially the Cillian stories, which were based on 80s stories, which were Star Trek spoofs, have a realm where they go to called the Mirror Universe, and there's a Mirror Universe similar to the Star Trek Mirror Universe, and when they go there, they're evil counterparts. So it's kind of the same idea, evil counterparts, which we took from Star Trek, and they apparently did too. Their evil counterparts, sort of doppelganger kind of thing. Yeah, so everybody's thinking along the same lines, basically, coming up with the same kind of ideas. I'm sure they didn't read on location. They just happened to be on the same wavelength. We never put out our horror stories directly. Closest we got was Silly in Space, and the story about Keptera is the closest one to that. Also, Semesters kind of goes there a little bit, and some of the other ones. Yeah, so yeah, some of our Cillian saga does have the horror elements in it. So those were published last year, but we hadn't seen Stranger Things. We avoided spoilers and everything. Hadn't seen Stranger Things until now. Mark's cards had already gone on and seen the first season. Now I've caught up with him, and I've seen all of the first season. I don't know if he's seen season 2 yet. He started watching Game of Thrones as well, but I guess I did not. So I don't know. In a couple of days, the Star Wars movie is going to come out, so that's something. But anyway, let's go back to this show that's on the same wavelength as Kal Kat, which is trippy. Yeah, it was fun. So the boys do a Stand By Me type of search for answers. They get in an argument, and then they fight off some bullies. And when the bullies, one of the bullies dares the kid to fling himself off of a ravine into the water, kind of like in Stephen King's It. Except in this version, the Carrie-like character, she shows up and saves it. And so there's a bunch of other stuff going on. When she saves somebody using her powers, it messes her up and weakens her. She's got to recharge afterward. So she's an X-Men character. She's Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Jean Grey. A little bit of Professor X, but more like Negasonic Teenage Warhead meets Jean Grey. Yeah, a little more like that. I was waiting for her to scanner somebody and blow their head up or something. Cool. She didn't actually do that. Should have. But yeah, I wonder if Jim Tacon has seen this, because he'd probably like it. Yeah, can't say that the dialogue's fine, although they don't really talk like 80s kids. They took out all the Valley talk in both of them, so neither of them have Valley talk, although they would have Valley talk, even if they were from Indiana in the story. Hawkins, Indiana. Also a curiosity in connection to On Location that doesn't make sense. The Hawkinses were characters, they're actually real people, related to the Cantrells, the Timonus character, the Big Tim. They were, back in the day, Matt had gotten married to someone named Hawkins, and for a while they were married, and then they divorced. But Matt, and now he's remarried, and Tim got married in 1999, and I think Matt's remarried, and has a kid. Tim has a kid, and it's like, the Hawkinses were these two girls from. It's weird. Did they marry the Duffer Brothers maybe later on? I don't know. That'd be kind of weird. Probably not. I don't think so. But they were On Location characters from On Location at Pine Hill. So I don't know what's going on. A little after On Location at Pine Hill. On Location 2, I should say. The second one. On Location 2. 89 to 2000. 89 to 94. And somewhere in there was the Jung Swan ones. All the way through. The 88 to 2004. First press of the series was 2001 to 2000. Oh, wait a minute. No. 2001 was when it ended. 96 to 2001. And Valley Stories, the current one from 2000, was roughly 2001 to 2012, roughly. So here we have the Kal Kat Show, which is the current one, basically. And this review channel. There's no way they would have known us, but considering the exposure that we have on the YouTube, they probably got hints of some of these stories and ideas. and I know I've talked about the horror stories before that I never published. I know I've talked about them somewhere, like before 2016 and before the show was written. So it's possible probably they checked them out, which is fine. I was thinking of Stephen King, so they were too. And Sam Raimi. Well, season 4 Stranger Things is coming out, so you guys can hire me. No, anyway, yeah, so let's continue with the story because this so reminded me of On Location. Yeah, so the boyfriend thinks that the girl is fooling around with the camera guy, so she wants to, so they have a fight. Two boys have a fight, end up in the police station. They get bailed out in time to go look for the girl and do the weird episode with a sensory deprivation tank where they build a pool in the school gymnasium out of a kiddie pool. They fill it up with water and they put her in there so she can go to the other realm and channel, which is demonic, to go to the other world thing. Yeah, don't do that. So, but then there's then the cop and the mother go to the other world and through this glowy, gross space vagina, they go to the lab, get interrogated, and then the lab people agree to let them go. They make a deal with the lab guy that they just won't say anything about the lab if they can go in and get the son back from the ethereal realm. Meanwhile, the Barbadook fights them, the Babadook kind of thing, or whatever they call it, something like a Barbadook. They fight them. It's like a monster from D&D. They keep playing D&D at the beginning of the Dungeons and Dragons. Not just in Destiny, Dungeons and Dragons. And so yeah, there's monster creatures and stuff. The bad guys go to the school to grab the kids, and I take it that from the attack on the school thing, where they show it, the school bad guys with guns in school. Oh no, that doesn't sound good. And then they apparently the 11 kills the alien creature demon thing and disappears after the firefight that takes out most of the bad guys. So I guess the bad guys are kind of gone, although it's ambiguous, and the cop goes away with some of the other bad guys at some point, and then they jump a month into the future. They're playing D&D in the basement. The son is rescued. Spoilers. You've all seen it. It was season 1. It was from 2016. Come on. Haven't seen it yet. Anyway, so yeah, Stranger Things, season 1, part 2. Well, season 2 has 3 discs. It's 9 episodes. And we'll be getting to that later because I want to get to the Star Trek Discovery, season 2, and do some more of Cillian's next book, some other books that are in the process. But I also want to start doing Trans-Tech Corrosion of War soon, so I'll do that instead. But I wanted to get this out of the way before the end of the year, do this thing. Because it's the 650th episode, and that's awesome. And yeah, so this was mostly I rambled on about how it was like On Location, but I liked it, so it's all right. But yeah, the at one point the camera guy, camera kid, and the other guy, the girl fight the creature, and the boyfriend helps. She gets back with the boyfriend. The camera guy is probably bi. They kind of hinted that in there. But yeah. So there's like, but it's the 80s, so. But it's supposed to be the 80s. Although because he's not interested in the girl is probably just because she's weird. That's probably what it is. He's also weird. But their brother was sucked into another dimension for like several episodes. So, you know, everybody's bound to be weird in that town. He was in another dimension, sucked into the other realm. I often thought about that with when I was a kid, about other dimensions and parallel realities, and go off to the Snake Trench. There was a big field, you know, and go up there and get lost and come back, and there would be like a family argument going on, and then it would be over, or it would be started again. I wouldn't assume that because I went bike riding and came back, that somehow that was connected. That, like, it would go into the parallel universe. That's what I thought of when I was a kid. About the same age as these kids in this story, actually. Yeah, so... And also there was the Senate Wars, which is around the same time. 7th, 8th grade. And in those, we had evil doppelgangers that were horny. That were fighting the evil principal lady and her underlings and bullies. In a weird sort of dystopian society, like Mad Max crossed with The Stand. I probably shouldn't have been watching all those movies. And a little bit of The Exorcist thrown in. Yeah, so, yeah. But now, yeah. So this review is... There's nothing wrong with the review. It could be for those under 13. Over 13. That's not for children, I guess. Just because it contains talk about monsters and stuff. Yeah, and dimensional travel and stuff. But yeah, just to avoid the COPPA law thing. So, yeah. Stranger Things 2. Yeah, the Red Letter Media is right. It's fun. Understand that season 2 is not as good. It's a sort of a sequel. But yeah, so if it hadn't won Emmys, hopefully it had. Well, it is Netflix though, so maybe they didn't notice. It's a streaming service story, which is one way to go with Space Vanguards. It's silly in space. But no, no plans yet to put any of our stuff on Netflix. We're not that famous. But, yeah, so it is late December, and here we are. So probably the next review will be either probably Knives Out, and then Star Wars, Episode 9, the Rise of Skywalker. You will see the Kal Kat cameo in Rise of Skywalker. Well, so... if there is one. There was always a Kal Kat scene in a movie that isn't really, it just kind of looks like it. Yeah. But unlike Terminator Dark Fate, it's not really going to suck. It's really not going to suck. Terminator Dark Fate, like when we got out of the preview for that, I was like, everybody was like, why again? Why are we doing this? But yeah, but yeah, it was okay, Terminator Dark Fate. It was just not great. It was like, yeah. So, yeah, sure. Stranger Things season 2. Cast seems to know what they're doing. Everything sort of a little bit of Twin Peaks thrown in there. A little bit of Picket Fences. Picket Fences was a weird show. Another weird kind of show. Very similar. Fargo, very similar idea. Series. Shows. So they're channeling the same. They're coming from the same source. They probably heard about Gore's Own magazine and that kind of thing. They're because they were they probably heard about all that stuff and read about it later and watched. They were fans of Stephen King and stuff like that. They clearly were. John Carpenter a little bit too, but I wouldn't say there's that much John Carpenter. Maybe the bad guy, kind of. But it looks more like a Cronenbergian alien thing, though. Plant face creature thing. Similar to the thing in Annihilation. And yes, there was a scene in Horror Story, Demons of Rockburg, where a kid coughs up slugs and melts. And the very last scene in this, almost the very last scene in this movie, The kid starts coughing up gross slug things. It's like, oh, there you go. There's your Kal Kat moment right there. There it is. They must have thought, that would be gross. Let's put that in there. Ew. So if the kid melts later on, season 2, we'll be like, wait a minute. Oh, well. I just thought it would be really gross to do that. Yeah. I mean, the thing, they had like a tentacle stuck in his mouth. It's very hentai-like. It's a tentacle. So, ew. I don't know how they got out of there either. They took their helmets off. There was a lot of like scenes that happened while the camera wasn't rolling in the second half. Goofy like that. How did they get out of the toxic realm with the kid? It didn't show that. They just did their rats are out, so he's in the hospital fixing. Like how? Why did they leave a fake body of him? Why did they do that? How did they do that? There's so many questions that weren't answered. That probably aren't going to be, because it's still like a spooky supernatural thriller. Why did they tell there's a subplot of the mother lady whose daughter apparently allegedly miscarried in the last trimester, but the mother knows all this stuff about psionic powers and stuff. Like, she totally like knows that she was like a life form or something, or a test subject thing in the womb or whatever. She knows this, and the sister of the mother keeps saying that the daughter Jane, okay, fictional adventures in semesters, and all through Cillian Space, the 1990 series fictional adventures, Jane Piedmont, daughter in this is Jane Piedmont, basically. Okay, yeah. That was from the 90s, and that was one of ours, too. So we were thinking of Baby Jane, the song, and apparently they were, too. That's what happens. She was originally called Jane Foster, but I was not aware of, at that point, that the comic book Thor had a Jane Foster. I was not aware of that. I thought foster child, that's funny. She's like in a group home. That would be kind of cool, you know. But yeah. I changed to Ariana Foster, or inadvertently Jane Piedmont, or who's a character from another series or whatnot. So she has a daughter in it who does not have psionic powers, but is born in either the 1990s or in the 80s, depending on which story it is. If it's the Endover story, then it's earlier. Now that one would be earlier, in the 80s. So yeah, there's a lot of on location in there. I wouldn't have been surprised if they had said the Duffer Brothers were the Nielsen's from Pine Hill. I would have said, that makes sense. I would have said, all right, Nielsen kids, that makes sense. They were part of the group, the Minions, indirectly related to the Minions, the classic early Minions, not the Illumination ones, but our gang group in high school. If they said that, I'd be like, yeah, totally. This is Tim Nielsen's series. That's awesome. The other two. Cool. Yeah, it totally works. They clearly know people from the 80s in the story. So it's an odd thing. And they clearly have Libby. 11 is Libby. She's literally in the story. Libby's in the story. And she has psionic powers, which she kind of did in Cillian Space. So. No, but not in real life. She didn't. She was a twin. So she had an evil twin, literally, of Chris. Either one was the evil twin. Libby was the evil one. Chris was the good one. No. But yes, if they do an evil twin story, it'll totally work. And for a third of this thing, she had a fake blonde wig. So. So I don't know how they bring her back, but I'm assuming that they do. And that she's in the later ones. Because she had to be in the Godzilla movie. They probably, by season 3, they probably filmed that during a hiatus between 2 and 3. So she could be in the Godzilla movie. So anyway, but yeah, or between 3 and 4, because they are doing a 4th season. They have not released season 3 yet. Those are all bootlegs. They haven't released it yet. 2020. So it isn't out yet. So is there anybody saying they've got season 3? They don't. It's not out yet. Yeah, so next, Star Trek Discovery, and this has been the 650th episode, and it's really rambly, and it's about on location too, but that's fine. It means I liked it. It works. A lot of the, sure, Twin Peaksy, like ethereal realm thing. Of course, the upside down makes sense. Of course that does. It's like, yeah. All of it makes sense, actually. It's surprisingly. It's like the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks. It's like another realm. There's coffee and some yeah. The owls are not what they seem. Firewalk with Me wasn't as good as the show, though. I understand the new one's alright, though. It's very X-Files-y, too, in places. Yeah. Never quite sure who the bad guys are and what their motivation is, other than we have a psychic person that isn't explained that can contact the ethereal dimension, but why? Why would we do that? I don't know. But yeah. But what possible benefit would it serve to fighting the Ruskies in the 80s to contact another dimension that's similar to ours, but evil? I sick the bad guys on the Ruskies, I guess? I don't know. Why would they do that? Anyway, so, boy. Stranger Things. Season 1. I keep saying season 2. No, it was just season 1, part 2. Yeah.